Amanda had always been the older sister. She lived with her family in a small village. Amanda loved attention and was used to being the favorite. But when Lydia, her young sister, gave birth to a baby boy, everything changed. The family focused their love on the baby, and Amanda began to feel left out. The baby, whom they named Joshua, was the center of the attention. Everyone came to see him, bringing gifts and celebrating his arrival. And Amanda felt invisible. No one noticed her anymore. They only talked about Lydia and the baby. Amanda felt a storm brewing in her heart. Later one night, Amanda sat in her room, hearing her parents talking excitedly about Joshua. She clenched her fist. Why does Lydia get all the love now? She whispered to herself, her thoughts swirling with anger. As days passed and things didn't get better for Amanda, she tried to play with Joshua, but her mother would always tell her to be careful. He's too small, Amanda. Let Lydia take care of him, her mother would say. Amanda would walk away, her heart inching. Soon, Amanda didn't even try to be around Joshua. She kept herself, her thoughts growing darker each day. She watched as Lydia smiled happily with her baby and her parents showering Lydia with prizes. Jealousy in Amanda grew stronger, like a fire burning inside her. One afternoon, while Lydia was busy, Amanda stood by a crib, staring at Joshua. He was so small, so fragile. Her mind raced with hunger. She suddenly had a terrible idea. She quickly looked around the house. No one was watching. Amanda felt a rush of fear and excitement. She knew what she wanted to do. Her hands trembled, but her heart was racing with hunger. She picked up Joshua, heart pounding in her chest. She ran outside, her feet carrying her to a backyard. There in the corner was a dustbin where they threw trash. Without thinking twice, Amanda opened the lid and dropped the baby inside. The moment she did it, she froze. The sound of Joshua's soft cry reached her ears, but Amanda quickly shut the lid. Her heart was beating wildly as she ran back to the house. When Lydia came into the room looking for her baby, "Amanda, have you seen Joshua?" she asked, a smile on her face. Amanda's heart raced. "No, I haven't." Amanda lied, her voice shaking. Lydia's smile faded as she searched the house, calling for Joshua. "Mom, Dad, I can't find the baby," she screamed, her voice filled with panic. Their parents rushed into the room, their faces full of fear. "Where is the baby?" their mother cried. Everyone started searching, but Amanda stood still, her guilt growing like a dark cloud. After hours of searching, Lydia ran outside. She was desperate. Her eyes scanned the yard, and then she saw it, the bin. With a trembling hand, she opened the lid. There, inside the bin, was the baby Joshua. His cries weak and soft. Lydia screamed. Their parents rushed to the bin and pulled out Joshua, holding him close. Tears streamed down their faces as they checked the baby. He was dirty and frightened, but he was still alive. Amanda stood at a doorway, her heart pounding as she watched her parents carry Joshua. She couldn't believe what she has done. Lydia's eyes were filled with fear as she looked at Amanda. Why? Why, Amanda? Why would you do this?" she asked, her voice shaking. Amanda didn't know what to say. She stood frozen, her eyes wide with guilt and fear. "I didn't mean to," she whispered, but she knew it wasn't true. Their parents were very furious. "How could you do this, Amanda? This is your nephew," their father shouted, his face red with hunger. Amanda burst into tears. She knew she had made a terrible mistake. From that day, nothing was the same. Amanda was no longer allowed to be near Joshua. Her parents didn't trust her anymore. They watched her every move, and the house was filled with tension. Lydia couldn't even look at Amanda without tears filling her eyes. The bond between two sisters were shattered. Amanda tried to apologize, but Lydia didn't want to hear it. The pain of almost losing her baby was too much. Amanda began to feel even more alone. The things she had done out of jealousy has made her life worse than ever. Amanda couldn't sleep at night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Joshua's face in the bin crying. The guilt weighed heavy on her, and she wished she could take all back, but it was too late. Her parents had talked about sending her away, but they didn't. Instead, they watched her closely, always afraid she might do something terrible. Amanda felt trapped in her own home. No one trusted her, and she didn't trust herself. What kind of person throws a baby in a trash? That question haunted her every day. Amanda's life became very lonely. She stayed in her room most of the time, avoiding her family. Lydia spent her days with baby Joshua, and her parents were always around Lydia, helping her with the baby. Amanda felt like a stranger in her own home. She could hear Joshua's laughter from the next room, and every time she heard it, her heart felt heavy. She wanted to hold him, to be part of his life, but she knew she had ruined the chance. Her family's coldness towards her made her feel like she didn't belong anymore. Amanda began to wonder if things would ever get back to how it was, and every day felt like a punishment for what she has done. Though Lydia didn't talk to Amanda anymore, she was hurting too. She didn't understand why her own sister would do something so cruel. Every time she looked at Joshua, she was reminded of that terrible day. Lydia loved her baby more than anything, but the pain Amanda had caused was still fresh. She couldn't forget the image of finding her son in the dustbin, helpless and crying. It haunted her every day. But deep down, Lydia missed her sister. They had been so close once, sharing secrets and dreams. Now, their relationship was broken, and Lydia didn't know if it could ever be fixed. One night, Amanda had a terrible dream. She dreamt of Joshua again, but this time, she couldn't save him. In the dream, no one could hear his cry, and he disappeared into the darkness. Amanda woke up sweating, her heart racing. She knew this dream was a reflection of her guilt. It was her mind telling her she needed to make things right, but how? Could Lydia ever forgive her? Amanda didn't know what to do. She wanted to apologize, but every time she tried, her words got stuck in her throat. The weight of her actions felt too heavy. Soon, word spread in the village about what Amanda had done. The neighbors whispered when they saw her. Children pointed at her, and adults shook their heads in disappointment. Amanda could feel their stares whenever she walked outside. People began to avoid her, and Amanda felt even more isolated. She could hear the cruel whispers behind her back. "That's the girl who threw her sister's baby in the bin." Those words hurt, and Amanda wished she could go back in time and undo everything. Her world felt smaller and darker with each passing day. Lydia struggled every day. She loved being a mother, but the weight of what happened was hard to bear. She couldn't forget the image of Joshua in the bin, and sometimes when she closed her eyes, she saw it over and over again. Joshua was growing fast, and he brought her so much joy, but the joy was always mixed with pain. She often asked herself, will I ever be able to forgive Amanda? Lydia wasn't sure, but there was a small part of Lydia that wanted to heal. She knew holding on to the hunger was hurting too. Still, forgiving Amanda seemed impossible. One day, Amanda gathered all her courage. She found Lydia in the living room, holding Joshua in her arms. Amanda's heart raced, but she knew she had to try. "Lydia," Amanda began, her voice trembling. "I'm so sorry for what I did. I know it was wrong, and I wish I could take it back." Lydia looked at her, silent for a long moment. Then she turned away, her eyes filled with tears. "I can't talk to you, Amanda," Lydia whispered, her voice full of pain. "Not now. Maybe not ever." Amanda's heart sank. She knew the road to forgiveness would be long, but Lydia's word felt like a door slamming into her face. One evening, their grandmother came to visit. Grandma had always been the wise one in the family, and she could feel the tension in the house. She called Amanda and Lydia to sit with her. "I know there is pain here," Grandma said softly. "Amanda, you made a terrible mistake, but Lydia, hold on to pain won't heal your heart." Amanda looked down, ashamed, while Lydia held Joshua tightly. I don't know if I can forgive her, Lydia said quietly, her voice breaking. Grandma nodded. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing to heal. You don't have to do all that at once, but both of you must find a way to move forward. That night, Amanda thought about what Grandma said. She didn't expect Lydia to forgive her right away, but she wanted to change. She needed to prove to her family and to herself that she could be trusted again. The next morning, Amanda approached Lydia. I know you're still angry with me, and I understand, but I promise I'll never hurt Joshua again. I'll do whatever it takes to make things right. Lydia didn't respond, but Amanda could see a flink of hope in her eyes. Amanda knew it would take time, but she was determined to make amends. Days turned into weeks, and Amanda kept her promise. She stayed away from Joshua and helped around the house in other ways. She washed dishes, cleaned the floor, and even prepared dinner some nights. Though no one said anything, Amanda noticed her parents watching her quietly, perhaps seeing the effort she was putting in. One evening, Amanda saw Lydia struggling to carry Joshua in a basket of laundry at the same time. Amanda hesitated, unsure if Lydia would accept her help. But she gathered her courage and walked over. Let me help you with that, Amanda said softly, reaching for the basket. Lydia paused, looking uncertain. After a moment, she handed the basket to Amanda without saying a word. It was a small gesture, but to Amanda it felt like a step towards healing. That night, Amanda laid in bed, thinking about the small exchange with Lydia. It wasn't much, but it gave her hope. Maybe Lydia was starting to see that she had changed. Amanda knew she had a long way to go, but for the first time in a while, she felt a crack in the wall that had grown between her and Lydia. The next morning, Lydia didn't avoid her. It wasn't a warm greeting, but it wasn't a cold either. Amanda saw it as another step forward. One afternoon, Lydia was in the kitchen feeding Joshua. Amanda was cleaning the windows nearby. Suddenly, Joshua giggled loudly, making a funny face as he tried to grab the spoon. Both Lydia and Amanda looked at him, and without meaning to, they both started laughing. For a brief moment, the tension between them disappeared. They shared a smile for the first time in what felt like forever. Amanda saw a glimpse of their bond. The laughter faded quickly, but the moment stayed with Amanda. That night, as she laid in bed, Amanda replayed the scene in her mind. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was a start. While Amanda was trying to fix things, Lydia was struggling with her feelings. She still couldn't forget what Amanda had done, but part of her missed her sister. Growing up, Amanda had always been her protector, her best friend, and now they feel like strangers. Lydia knew holding on to the anger was hurting her. Grandma's words echoed in her mind. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, it means choosing to heal. Lydia wasn't ready to forgive Amanda yet, but she didn't want to carry the pain forever. She wanted to be happy again, for Joshua's sake and her own. One evening, the whole family gathered in the living room. It had been a long since they had sat together like this. Grandma, who had been visiting for a while, sensed it was time for a deeper conversation. We need to talk about what happened, Grandma started, her voice calm but serious. Amanda, you made a terrible mistake, and you've been trying to make up for it. Lydia, I know your heart is still hurt, but you have to decide if you're ready to let go of some of the anger. Lydia looked down at her hands, unsure of what to say. Amanda stayed quiet, waiting, her heart racing. I don't know if I can forgive yet, Lydia finally said, her voice shaking. But I see that Amanda is trying. Their mother nodded. Healing takes time, but as long as you're both willing to try, we can move forward. Amanda felt a small flink of hope. It wasn't full reconciliation, but it was a step. The next day, Lydia was feeling unwell, and their mother was busy in the kitchen. Joshua needed to be fed, and Amanda saw an opportunity to help. Can I feed him? Amanda asked, her voice careful. Lydia hesitated for a moment, her hands resting on Joshua's tiny head. She glanced at Amanda, her expression uncertain. But after a moment, she handed Amanda the baby spoon. Amanda's hands trembled slightly as she fed Joshua. She was gentle, careful not to spill any food. Joshua looked up at her with a wide, curious eyes, and Amanda felt a warmth in her heart she had never felt in a long time. Lydia watched quietly from the couch, her emotions mixed. She wasn't ready to forgive Amanda completely, but seeing her care for Joshua was a step forward, rebuilding their trust. As the days went by, Amanda slowly became more involved in the household. She was allowed to help with Joshua, and though Lydia still kept a watchful eye, she no longer treated Amanda with a completely distrust. Amanda felt a change, and it gave her hope. The weight of her guilt was still heavy, but the small moments of kindness from Lydia helped her believe that maybe one day things would go back to normal. But Amanda knew she still had a long way to go. She couldn't rush Lydia's forgiveness. She had to prove day by day that she was truly sorry. One afternoon, Amanda found Lydia sitting outside on the porch, staring off in the distance. Amanda hesitated, then sat down next to her. For a while, neither of them said anything. The silence was heavy but not uncomfortable. Finally, Amanda spoke. "I miss you, Lydia," she said softly. "I miss how we used to be." Lydia didn't respond right away. She kept her eyes on the horizon, her face thoughtful. "I miss you too, Lydia," whispered after a long pause. Amanda felt a lump in her throat. "Do you think we can ever go back to how things we used to be?" Lydia sighed. "I don't know, Amanda, but maybe we can start over." Amanda nodded, tears filling her eyes. "I would like to do that." The next day, something unexpected happened. Lydia came into Amanda's room holding Joshua. "He's been fuzzy all morning," Lydia said, her voice soft. "Do you want to hold him for a bit?" Amanda's heart raced. Lydia hadn't let her hold Joshua since the day she threw him in the bin. Amanda nodded, hands trembling as Lydia gently placed Joshua in her hands. Joshua looked up at Amanda with a big, innocent eyes. Amanda felt a rush of emotions as she cuddled him gently. His tight fingers wrapped around hers. It was the first time Lydia had trusted her with the baby, and it meant more to Amanda than words could express. Amanda cuddled Joshua in her arms, feeling his tiny heartbeat close to hers. It was a moment she had longed for, a chance to feel connected to her sister again through the baby she had wronged. She swam gently, humming a soft tune, and Joshua soon stopped fusing. His tiny high lips fluttered close, and Amanda felt a surge of warmth and relief. Lydia watched from a distance, her arms crossed. She hadn't said much, but the fact that she had let Amanda hold Joshua felt like a small sign of forgiveness. For Lydia, it wasn't just trusting Amanda with her baby. It was about learning to trust her again as a sister. Amanda glanced at Lydia, her heart swelling with hope. "Thank you," she whispered, as if speaking too loudly could break the fragile moment between them. Lydia gave a small nod, her eyes softening, though the weight of their sharp pain still lingered in the hair. Despite the small moments of healing, there were still dark whispers in the village about Amanda's action. People had not forgiven what she did, and some even refused to speak to her. Every time Amanda went out to help her mother, she could feel the eyes on her, the cold glances from the neighbors who still judged her. One day, Amanda was at the market picking some vegetables when she overheard two women whispering nearby. "It's her," one said, "the girl who threw her sister's baby in the bin." Amanda's stomach tightened. The words sang like thorns, but she kept her head down and tried to ignore them. She knew she couldn't erase what she had done, but she wished the village could see how hard she was trying to change. When Amanda returned home, Lydia noticed the sadness in her eyes. "What's wrong?" Lydia asked, concerned. "People still talk about me," Amanda said quietly. "They don't believe I've changed." Lydia frowned, feeling a pang of sympathy. "It doesn't matter what they think," she said softly. "What matters is what happens here, between us." Amanda's heart lifted slightly at Lydia's words, but still, she felt the weight of the village's judgment. One evening, Lydia needed to leave the house to run some errands, and their mother was out visiting a friend. Lydia looked at Amanda, who was playing with Joshua on the living room floor. "Can you watch him while I'm gone?" Lydia asked, her voice steady but cautious. Amanda's eyes widened in surprise. This was the first time Lydia had asked her to take care of Joshua alone. It was a test of trust, and Amanda didn't want to fail. She nodded quickly, trying to hide the nervousness, of course. As Lydia left, Amanda felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. She sat down next to Joshua, who was giggling and reaching for toys. Amanda smiled, her heart swelling with love for her nephew. She had caused so much harm, but she was determined to protect him now. The evening passed smoothly, and when Lydia returned, she found Amanda sitting with Joshua asleep in her arms. Lydia's heart softened at sight. She was beginning to see Amanda's love for Joshua in a new light. "Thank you," Lydia said quietly as she took Joshua from Amanda's arms. Amanda smiled, her heart feeling lighter than it had been in a long time. One night, after everyone had gone to bed, Amanda couldn't sleep. The guilt of what she had done still weighed heavily on her, and she knew that while some small steps were being taken, there was one thing she hadn't fully done: apologize from the depth of her heart. Amanda knocked softly on Lydia's door. Lydia was sitting by the window, rocking Joshua to sleep. She looked up, surprised to see Amanda. "I need to say something," Amanda began, her voice shaky. "I know I have apologized before, but I don't think I've fully told you how sorry I am." Lydia remained silent, watching Amanda closely. "I can never take back what I did," Amanda continued, her eyes filling with tears. "I was jealousy, and I let my jealousy turn into something ugly. I hurt you, I hurt Joshua, I hurt myself for it every day. I just want you to know that I'm truly, deeply sorry. I don't expect you to forgive me completely, but I hope someday we can heal." Lydia's eyes softened as she let out a slow breath. "I've been waiting for you to say that," she whispered. "I've been waiting to hear you truly admit it." Amanda nodded, wiping her tears. "I mean it, Lydia. I want to make things right." Lydia looked down at Joshua, who was fast asleep in her arms. "It's going to take time, Amanda," she said softly, "but maybe, just maybe, we can start to move forward." Weeks passed, and the tension between Amanda and Lydia began to ease. They weren't back to the way they used to be, but there was a quiet understanding between them now. Shared desires to heal. One morning, Amanda woke up to the sound of Joshua's laughter coming from Lydia's room. She smiled to herself, feeling a warmth in her heart. It was as if the house, once filled with so much tension, was slowly becoming a place of peace again. Lydia came into the kitchen with Joshua in her arms. She gave Amanda a small smile. "Do you want to take him out for a walk today?" Lydia asked. Amanda's heart leapt. It was another small gesture of trust, and Amanda knew how much it meant. "I would love to," she said, taking Joshua from Lydia's arms. As Amanda walked outside with Joshua, she felt a sense of hope she hadn't felt in a long time. The road of forgiveness was still long, but for the first time, she could see the possibility of the new beginning. A future where her family could heal, and where she could be part of Joshua's life without a shadow of her mistake. This concludes the story of Amanda and Lydia's journey towards healing, forgiveness, and rebuilding trust after heartbreaking betrayal. The story is one of the slow redemption, showing that while mistakes can hurt deeply, the road of healing is possibly with patience, love, and effort. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for reaching this far. And if you've not yet subscribed to this channel, oh my god, you guys are missing something. You are missing a lot. You'll not be notified whenever I post a video. So kindly subscribe, share, and don't forget the notification bell. And drop something in the comment section. Just let me know what you've learned in this video. Bye bye. See you in my next video. I love you all.